Hello, you're welcome to our channel. I know you're fine. We are also fine right here. And of course, we know that we don't come to you except when we have something good for you. Yes, today we're talking about the knowledge bank. You know, once upon a time, the good book says that if it will cost you everything, if it will cost you everything, seek knowledge. For wisdom is supreme. These two things are important, but what happens if you don't get the information that you process to get knowledge, and of course you apply for wisdom to also be achieved? That explains why we are on your screen today. You may want to get to know more about this. Look for us on Facebook. Search for Innocent Kwame Doji Gabla on Facebook, YouTube Kingdom Reign Network, Instagram you'll find us Innocent Kwame Gabla, TikTok Pastor Innocent Kwame Gabla, X Innocent Kwame Gabla, and LinkedIn Innocent Kwame Gabla. I am 𝑺𝑼𝑪𝑚𝑬, and you can call me the PDF, and Mr. Innocent Kwame Gabla is my guest here, and we're going to talk about a book that he has written. He's the author, and of course he works with the College of Distance Education of the University of Cape Coast. He's a course tutor and assistant examiner there. Title of the book, it says turning setbacks into success despite adversity. What is adversity? When we say success, what are we talking about? I heard from a pastor that the pain that you're going through, the adversity that you're going through, perhaps is a laboratory for God to test for your strength for something good that is yet to happen to you. Let me welcome him. He will tell us more about this book. Stay with us. Kwame, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Bekwe.
I'm also great in here. You didn't ask me, but I'm well.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
You're going to ask me?
Oh, anyway, how are you doing?
You would have asked the lady.
Okay.
Because I'm a man, you see what he's doing to me. He's bullying me here. You good?
I'm good, by God's grace.
We're going to talk about your book. Ready for that?
Yes, please.
But before that, you married?
No, please.
What are you doing?
I'm single, but searching.
You're searching?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So you may want to leave your telephone number. You were interested in the telephone number. There's a lady watching.
Okay.
Interested in the telephone number. Will you give it to her?
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
You will leave it at the comment section.
Yes, I would.
So leave your comment at the comment section below, and we would highly appreciate it. But the first thing we would want you to do, even before you write your comment, is to share this content for the world to get to know what we're doing here. We have a lot for you. Here's something special for people in and around Cape Coast. You can also join us. We'll talk about that. Innocent Kwame Gabla, once again, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
What motivated you to write this book?
Good. Well, thank you for the question once again. I have really had an encounter with quite a number of, young people, some, very gifted, talented, and I must say some even with high IQs. They couldn't reach the zenith. Some veer off, and some couldn't reach their goals due to adversities. Personally, I have also had, my first-hand experience of adversity that nearly made me forfeit my degrees as a student here in the University of Cape Coast. Going through my adversity, I believe and strongly I'm convinced that I am armed with the needed resources and tools to be able to guide, the young generation to also, achieve their dreams and goals, adversities notwithstanding. Thank you.
Normally, pastors would write this. Sometimes motivational speakers. You're a motivational speaker or a pastor?
Okay, I must say I'm a pastor of Kingdom Reign Network, a ministry here on campus. Yeah.
Right. Going through this book, I've seen that the people who have endorsed this book, quite a number of people. We have professors in here, doctors in here. Dr. Bernard Fentim Dakwa, postgraduate coordinator and senior lecturer, Department of Business and Social Sciences Education, University of Cape Coast. Dr. Letitia Bostu, lecturer, Department of Business and Social Sciences Education, University of Cape Coast. I've seen some Wajapasu here, PhD candidate. Dr. Vera is also here. How did you meet all these people?
Okay, good. So to begin with, Dr. Bernard Fentim Dakwa, he was my lecturer at both the undergrad and master's level. Yes, and he had read this book and never hesitated to write an endorsement for me. Yes, not only him per se, but also Dr. Letitia Bosu. She happens to be my undergraduate, counselor. She has had a feel of, encounter with me during my ordeal days. I had gone to her for counseling when I was facing my adversity. So when I told her I was going to write a book, she was impressed.
Which of the adversities was that?
Go ahead.
Broken heart?
Oh, not really. If it were a broken heart, it wouldn't have. But I've suffered it partly.
Oh,
but
you've had a share?
Yes.
A fair lady?
Of course. Slim.
He's talking about his taste. Pastors have taste too. Go ahead.
Yes. So, meeting her, discussing with her, when I told her I was going to write a book, she was impressed. In fact, when she proofread my book, she said, "Innocent, the book is good, Papa. God bless you." Dr. Letitia Bosu. Yes. So she happened to be, my lecturer. And that's the relationship I had with her. And not only her per se, I also have one other, Dr. Vera Ankumasi. I fondly call her mommy, because she's like a mother to me. But she's the former, coordinator of the teaching practice unit of the College of Distance Education, and also a senior lecturer at Code. I must make mention of, my mentor, Mr. Stephen Atepo. He is a lecturer at Sike Tandem University at Navrongo. His name span across almost all pages of this book, because at each stage of my adversity, he's been somebody, I must say, God sent, who really understood, what I was going through. At a point in time, he could join the masses not to understand what really I was going through. Because few of my pastors at that time couldn't even understand what I was going through. But he understood because he had the roommates there when he was also doing his undergraduate studies in UCC here, who went through a similar challenge. And that made him, he stood there at each point. So I must say that I'm dedicating this book partly to him, because he's really been, a good. So I want to use this opportunity to thank him, Mr. Stephen Atepo. I'm proud of you. Yes, not only him per se, but one other person I would, of note I would like to make mention of is Mr. E.T. Jamani. I bought 2 of his books. That really inspired me also to design the inner part of my book this way. I have quite a number of endorsers who really endorse this book, because even some of the people who proofread, after reading this book, the testimony they were sharing. Somebody just read, the table of content alone. He said, "Wow, chapter 3 alone is motivating him to read the book." So there are a lot of, endorsers asking, but, as you read the book, you get to know some of them. Thank you so much.
Great. I've seen here, chapter 2, we have biblical perspective of adversity, general perspectives of adversity, financial adversity, physical adversity, emotional adversity, social adversity, so many more. We'll pay attention to these. But let me find out from you, there are people who would want to write for children, others write for students, there are those who would also write for couples. Who are your primary target audience? All
right. Thank you for that question. In fact, to begin with, I went to Code. Then I met a lecturer friend of mine, Dr. Justice Ama, and he asked me, "Innocent, when am I grabbing a copy of my book?" I was taken aback. I said, "Wow." Oh, but, my target audience, are virtually, young people, let me say from 30 years and below. They are my generation kind of people. And to be specific, they are, university students, and we also have technical universities, and also nursing training, colleges of education, and what have you. And also, I can also add senior high school students. And, to add to that, to JHS students, those that are literate can read that book. So I was really surprised when a doctor friend of mine was running and said, "Oh, you want to grab his copy." Yes, but with the content of this book, aside my primary audience, the information contained in this book can be a blessing to any class of what or category of people. Thank you.
And what makes this book a must-read book?
Good. This book is a must-read book because, you know, it took me 8 years to refine this book. Actually, you know, I'm someone, I have a lot of books I'll be releasing, hopefully, but I want to be very careful with the first one I release there. Because if the first one is good, the advertisement for the rest, I need not to do it. So I really took time to really refine the book. And aside that too, it's a must read because the testimony so far we are having is really mind-blowing. And aside that too, I want to add that this book is a synthesis of a lot of best-selling authors' books, among which I would, you know, mention of Rick Warren's Purpose-Driven Life, you know, content, you know, the content, you know, part of it was honed from that book. Not only that, I have a couple of books I read from, you know, The Mentor's Manner by Dr. Mike Murdock. And also another book also I read is from Dr. Myles Munroe, the late Dr. Myles Munroe, a great mentor, so to say, his book on overcoming adversity. And you can by, you know, John Mason and other view. So it has been a book that is full of research and a synthesis of best-selling, you know, books. And within the pages of this book, you are not going to only meet information, but refine, you know, research that are, purposely, you know, engineered to transform your life. Yeah, so it's a must read.
Why should somebody read this book? There are those, you know, the people you're talking about. There are those who get scared because of the volume of a book. They take it and look at, hey, this lengthy book. Why should I read this voluminous book? How voluminous is your book? Okay,
anyway, the book is really voluminous, so to say. It's an A5 size, you know, 300 pages book. Yes, it's voluminous. But, well...
Could this be your first book?
Yes, that's my first book, so to say.
And in terms of religion, is this limited to, I've seen quite a number of quotations in here. Is it limited to Christians?
No. It's everyone, you know, can read it. You know, because in chapter 2, you hear me talk about the perspective of adversity. So we're talking about, because Christianity forms 70% of the world population. So 70%, as you said, as I said earlier on. So Christians can also read it, but the 30, you know, cut across the various religions. So you know, I talk about biblical perspective, you know, a whole aspect is talking about the general perspective of adversity, and that cut across Islam, you know, Hinduism, and, you know, the Buddhism, and, you know, atheism. So it doesn't matter the faith you find yourself, you can as well grab a copy and read.
Two words being separated by despite, success, despite adversity. There are those who say that success is basically what you get when you stay or you stick to principles, adversity, hardship. In this book, how is success defined?
Okay. Well, I didn't really, you know, define success in the book because really my focus of this book is, you know, adversity, how to still overcome adversity and, you know, still succeed at what you do. So to say, my focus mainly is adversity. So you will see in chapter 1, I gave a scope. This book is a bit voluminous, but we can still summarize it, so to say.
Have you started giving us a summary? You started talking about adversity in chapter 1, you know that. Go ahead if you want to give us the summary of this book.
Good. So like you said earlier on, you said this book is voluminous, of course, but we can give a summary of it.
Go ahead.
So now, you realize that this book is segmented in 4 major chapters. Now, chapter 1 gives the synopsis of, you know, giving, you know, the scope of what we mean by adversity. You know, adversity is a lot to people. There are various schools of thoughts and various perspectives about what people and philosophies about what people term as adversity. But giving it perspective, I need to tell you what this book is all about, adversity. Now, to start with, you need to know what is not adversity. Now, someone overspeeding, the traffic limits and being apprehended by the police, might term that as an adversity. To my perspective, that is not adversity, but, lack of what? Wisdom. Yeah. So then someone will want to know what is adversity. Adversity is the ordeals we go through that can, rip somebody off his purpose or destiny. It's, the overwhelming care of life that can stop you in the track of life. So that is basically what I term as what? Adversity.
In this book?
Yeah.
Great. Run us through chapter 1, chapter 2,
okay,
chapter 3, chapter 4, a bit of what is captured in there. Where's your appetite? So that we would want to read the book entirely.
Thank you so much. Yes, so I said it already in chapter 1, the definition. Already I threw much light on that. And the scope also is there. The types, they are basically being a bit spoken about there. Now, someone would like to know about chapter 2. Chapter 2 talked about, the perception about adversity. When I was doing my research, I came across the Kuswiro's perspective about adversity. And he said something there that your perception about adversity can really influence your response to it. Whether it will weigh you down or you be able to generate enough energy to circumnavigate to reach the pinnacle of success. Now, giving a ground, I deem perception of adversity very instrumental. Now, the first aspect of chapter 2 is talking about the biblical perspective of what adversity. Yeah, because I said earlier on, Christianity, 70%, form part of what, the world, who are Christians. So, biblical perspective of adversity, you hear the Bible say that, it says all things work together for our good. So it means that although adversity is negative, it means that at the long run, it will work together for good. So there is something good we need to know about the biblical perspective. He said, count it all joy when you enter into what? Tribulation. For the trying of your way, for the trying of your faith worketh for patience. So there's something good there. Adversity comes to what? Presents.
Faith also comes through hearing.
And hearing.
And so you have to hear.
Yeah.
And that is why you need to read this book. Okay. So you hear what he has gone through and what he has also read. Go ahead with the faith.
Good. So to add to that, the biblical perspective. Now, when I was going through my ordeal, now with my upbringing, with where I grew up as a Christian, I was made to believe that so long as you are going through a tough challenge, it means that you are suffering a divine retribution. Perhaps you might have done something bad. So there was a time I was condemning myself because maybe I have committed an unpardonable sin. But with introspection and with, investigations, I've realized that I could see nothing wrong. And this really plunged me into depression, which you read in the book. So I've noticed that, your faith, as in the biblical perspective, could really affect the way you can overcome adversity. Not only that per se, but, I've also talked about, the other aspect, which is the general perspective of adversity. Now, I'm talking about, the 30%, can cut across the various religions. The second major, religion after Christianity is what? Islam. We need to know about the perspective of Islam when it comes to adversity. Not only that, the Hindus and, the agnostics, and also what I mean by the atheists. So that someone will not say that, okay, I'm just writing to Christian. No. It doesn't matter the religion you come from. This book is a must read because we talk about those of them, how they also view adversity and how they overcome them. Yeah, so this book is a must read for, it doesn't matter the region you find yourself in. And that's chapter 2. Now, in chapter 3, you are going to talk about, the types of adversities. Now, Over there, I have addressed 12 different types of adversity, very comprehensive or sparse in its entirety, for you not to give an excuse that, no, I can't see the adversity I'm going to have gone through. So it's a comprehensive guide. Like I said, this book is a very comprehensive guide. So the type of adversity you are going to, look at, ranging from financial, emotional, economic, global. For example, the COVID-19 pandemic is a global adversity.
Russia-Ukraine war.
War is a global, because it shook down the whole world. So the type of adversity, so when you look at the type of adversity, you go in there. Now you are going to look at my personal experiences. Now, the reason why this book is a top notch is that I've read a lot of books, and it's not all authors that could reveal or expose their weaknesses. So in this book, when you are reading about the types, I have really exposed my fears, my weaknesses, and everything, and how I have been able to overcome them. And there is a saying that there is nothing new under the sun. And not only me, great examples like Barack Obama. Until I read and I was researching, I read his story, I thought he had everything on a silver platter. But example, Barack Obama would say that he never had the opportunities even other guys were having, because he was single-handedly raised by a single mother. So he said in one of his speeches, he said his mother couldn't even afford certain things that average children could not get easily. And that could have even ended his vision of becoming the president, but he became the first black president of the United States of America. Not only him, but time will fail me to talk about Oprah Winfrey. She was also from a very humble background, but she ended up becoming a billionaire. So the chapter 2 will talk about the type of adversity vis-a-vis, great examples, how they have been able to rise above those type of adversity and still being trailblazers and being at the top of affairs. So that is basically what you should be expecting when it comes to the types of adversities. Now, in chapter 4 of my book, you are going to be exposed to, basically, let me start this way. Now, because of the daunting challenges and the negativities that are being presented to us when you pass through adversity, I will not even encourage anybody to go through. If you would have asked me if there were a way, I would have dodged what I've been through. It's not palatable at all. Now, the Bible being saying that, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. Now, it's good we take a clue from him. Now, when Jesus at Gethsemane, he perceived what he was going to go through on the cross of Calvary, he quickly, negotiated with the Father. Father, if it be possible, let this cup, what I term as adversity, pass by me. Now, upon further inquiry and upon further negotiation with the Father said there was no way, because no cross, no crown. So the Bible said that, despising the shame on the cross, he said, not my will, but thine be done. So it means that if there were a way, even the author of salvation, our ultimate mentor, could have asked the Father to take away adversity, but there was no way. Yeah, so we had to go through adversity. So beyond the pains, beyond the difficulties adversity present to us, there is more to that. Within adversity, my own quotes, if any time you are going through any tough challenge, just be well informed that a new season is about to break forth in your life. And you're about to be presented with a door of opportunity, which when well leveraged upon, will push you to the next phase of life. So adversity is beyond pains. It's beyond difficulty. Within it, you would even end up in one way to discover your purpose. So now chapter 3 talk about how adversity can make us become successful. Now this book I've written, I never discovered my purpose until when I was going through my ordeal. I was doing one of few things I thought they were my purpose. But it was true, the quietude of my pains, that I heard a voice that told me, the things you are going through is not for you. It's meant to be is meant for the people I'm sending you to. I'm taking you through this to what? Inspire you and give you enough, material or tool that will help you to help the other people you have been sent to. It's not only purpose discovery. The positive bearing in adversity can also be mentorship. Now, to add to that before I go to mentorship, the late Dr. Masmoro would always say that the greater tragedy in life is not what death, but life without what purpose. That is why you need to discover your purpose. Now, it's not only purpose, but also mentorship. Now, talking about the late, and revered, Christian apologist, Dr. Ravi Zacharias, he said, people look to be mentored by those who have been through a lot of adversities and yet they never gave up. So now, when you are going through ordeals in life, adversity is the divine select guide to charter your course, to be able to bring out your mentorship prowess and tools to be able to affect your generation. Now, I need to bring in, Nelson Mandela of blessed memory. He had been through, great, adversity, being confined 27 years in prison. Could you imagine that?
27
years,
yes.
Yeah, imprisonment. And through that, his mentorship, being leadership, is even, a top notch. He was one of the best presidents so far because, adversity as well positioned him to be a great mentor.
Kwame Nkrumah went through hardship.
Good.
And his name is all over the world.
Good.
One of the best.
Yeah. And it's not only that too, when I'm talking about the positive buried in adversity, I'm also talking about creativity and innovation. Now, I never knew I had, the gift to write. So my innovative ideas to be an author, I really uncovered them through the period of my greatest audios. Now, during my time of adversity, I find myself filling my WhatsApp walls and, Facebook walls, Instagram walls with quotes, as if I was just...
Quotes from people?
No, my personal quotes.
How were you getting them?
Yeah,
it
was just like intuitive, so to say. I was just writing that to encourage myself and to motivate myself. So they were just intuitive. So I never knew I had the gift to be an author or to write one day. So I was just writing on my walls to encourage myself. But the comment people were bringing, it was inspiring people along the way.
And we can relate this to the life of Charles Wesley.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
And John Wesley, they go through the experience and they write out of that.
Good.
The hymnals that we sing today for prayers.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I never thought I was an author unless I went through this. So virtually during my season, because I was confined, I was going through emotional challenges. So it was like I was taken aback from the world. So I was all alone. So all I could find myself doing is to be writing quotes. And some of those quotes, they form the fundamentals of this book. So during that time, I was polishing my writing skill. Although I was going through, but I was writing because that was what made me, what can fill the vacuum. Yeah, because I was mostly taken from the world. Because a point came, people were not really understanding what I was going through. Yeah, so when I was alone, that was when I discovered that I was innovative and the writing, gift was just popping up, bubbling up. Not only, innovative, but opportunities. Yes, during adversity, you would have the power to be able to discover opportunities, which you may not be able to uncover if everything was all right. Yeah, so the chapter 4 is very extensive because I have addressed 35 solid positives that adversity come to work out in our life. And, you would like to have a read of them. So a big book is just summarized in 4 chapters. And that is basically what, Success Despite Adversity is all about. Thank you.
They tell us that the gold was not gold until we went through the heat, passed through fire and a whole lot before we get the gold. And so clearly we can say that your adversity over time will determine your character. You agree?
I agree.
But do you also agree to what people say that God never tests people?
I don't agree. He tests.
God tests us.
He tests.
So sometimes the hardship that we go through, we don't have to complain.
No, it's a test from God. That's why he said, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptation or trials. He said, for all these things will work together for your good. Yeah.
You know your target audience.
Okay.
People below the 30.
Yeah.
Yes. 20, 30. These are people who sometimes struggle in terms of getting financial stability and all that. And especially emotional challenges.
Adversity.
Relationship, social. What do you have to tell us? Tell us something a bit about how to handle emotional adversity.
Good.
When they happen to you.
Good. Mostly when it comes to emotional adversity, emotional adversity is very, draining and demanding, because sometimes even it makes it very difficult to even think right. Yeah, so mostly sometimes during emotional adversity, going through the norm has always been to seclude yourself from the masses to handle it, but it doesn't help. You need to talk to someone, talk to the therapist, and that is one way to, handle your emotional adversity. Thank you.
Hold it there. Don't say everything.
Okay.
Because we want to read to appreciate the content.
Sure.
Did you say anything about power in this? Because there are people who are also struggling to get power.
Good.
They tell us that if you really want to know someone, give the person power.
Good.
Money and perhaps sex.
Yeah.
Did you talk about these things in there? For financials, we've touched on that.
Sure.
Power, did you talk about that?
Good. I've talked about power being one of the positives that adversity work out in us. When I'm talking about power, I'm talking about leadership. Now, there is a saying that power corrupts without test. Now, you realize that adversity also will position you to be positioned to handle power. Now, let me talk about it a little bit. I will talk about two categories of people here, talking about David and, Saul. Let me talk rather about David and, Solomon. Now, David had been through a lot of ordeal, being a shepherd boy in the wilderness. And when even they were looking for people to anoint as king among Jesus' children, he was not even considered. But, he was left in the desert to attend to the sheep. Now, even a lion and a bear came up against one of the, the flock. He was able to fight and kill the two and deliver them. That really trained him. And, you can't even deny of one great leader in the Bible without mentioning David. Had been a great leader. So through the wilderness, he was trained to become well-positioned to handle power. So he never abused his power. He was very contrite. One very specific, and what I call a world great leader we all look up to. Now, on the other aspects, untested power corrupt. Now, when we talk about, Solomon had everything rosary, he just went and sacrificed, 1,000 burnt offering. Then all of a sudden he was asking God for wisdom. And all of a sudden God said, I will add money. So he became very rich, exposed to wealth at a very tender age without being exposed to a lot. So you realize that his end, he abused his power, on women. Even, could you imagine Solomon building temple for idols, which God directly, hates? Yeah, so there, when I'm talking about power, I'm talking about leadership. Adversity has a way to reposition you, fortify you, and train you to be well positioned to handle power, so that power doesn't corrupt you.
So this book contains life stories of people.
Yeah.
And what you have also read. And so, we can say that this book is a book of life. Not that it is going to give you life, but it has the life of people in here. We have Egg of Life. I don't know whether you've watched that movie. Egg of Life, Nigerian movie.
I've not really. Yeah.
This is Book of Life. And so you may want to get a copy for yourself. Are we going to launch it?
Yes, we are going to launch it, 8 days from today. That's 25th of May. This book is going to be launched at the College of Distance Education, UCC here. at 10 o'clock a.m., the program starts. The program is going to span just about 2 hours, and it could even be less than that. We would like you all to be around. I want to take this single privilege to invite my audience to be part of this great testimony, this great ceremony, because I'm going to invite dignitaries to be around. Doctors, some of the professors, I've invited them, and I'm expecting them to be around. And businessmen, people from all walk of life, they'll be there. And you would miss not being there. Yeah.
Women can't miss joining with a face beautifully decorated. I'm talking about makeups there.
Okay.
I would want to decorate my pocket. What should be my budget if I want to get a copy of this book at the launch?
Okay, at the launch, there's going to be, the first release of the book. So, I can't call a specific amount anyway, but, since it's a book launch, we are expecting this book to be sold at any amount which you think you want to, support the brand. So maybe you are coming, you want to support us, you want to buy a copy for 1,000, that's fine. 5,000, that's fine. But, we would do it up to the minimal level, which I don't want to call. I'll hide it for, yeah. So come, any amount you have that day, you might be privileged to grab a copy.
So I'm still having conversation with innocent Kwame Gabla. He is a writer of Success Despite Adversity. And we're talking about this book. Shortly, the book will be launched on the land of University of Cape Coast. I want to release you, but before you go, let me find out from you. There are writers who tend to be musicians. Are you going to join the Sarkodie's, the Stone Boys, the Dinah Hamiltons, or we should expect something extraordinary from this book?
Okay. Thank you for that question. Anyway, hearing, am I going to join Sarkodie & Co. made me, smile a bit, it look a bit hilarious.
Do you sing?
No, I don't. I'm not a singer. Yeah, so to say. So, like I said in this book, when you are almost at the end of this book, I talked about, my subsequent 2 books I'll be releasing. So, like I said earlier on, I have a gift of writing. Yeah, so I'll continue to be an author. Yes, I'll write more books. There are a lot of books I want to release. That is why it took me 8 years to bring out this. I don't like too many advertisements. This one will advertise the rest. So I'm an author, and I'll continue to bring something to the light that will touch many lives. Thank you.
I want us to wrap up the conversation here. Is there anything else that you would want to put across?
Well, generally, I want to tell you there that this book is a blessing. You will need to have a copy. Yeah, my target audience, as I said earlier on, is 30 and below, the young people. But it's not only limited to young people, because the comment coming from people who are not even young people, some are doctors, lecturers, mean that the book has also been a blessing to them. So whichever category you find yourself, I'd like to, entreat you to grab a copy. And, I believe it will be a very great blessing to you. Now, I'll also add to that I'll be expecting you all at my book launch. Come and let's make it, a nice, experience and a memorable one, of course. So thank you so much for hosting me today, Mr. Bekwe.
We really appreciate it. We are also grateful for making time to join us.
Yeah.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
What do you know about power? What do you know about emotional adversity? What have you heard about success? This book has everything that you need to know so far as your life is concerned. So join us, get a copy. You can also join us if you're around the University of Cape Coast. The launch would come off at the conference room of College of Distance Education. Get a copy for yourself, get a copy for your family, read and become a successful person. My name is Louise Bequin. You can call me the PDF. This is where we end the conversation. Until we meet again, it is bye for now. But don't forget to share your comment at the comment section, and of course share the content for the world to get to know what we are doing. Today we centered on success despite adversity. Bye-bye.